Welcome back to Girl Talk. We're on the west side of Madison today filming inside Contours Lingerie. Later on, we'll chat with the owner. She's an award-winning designer. That's Tia Lynn. Right now, though, we're chatting with Sue Peck. She is the founder, CEO, and a CFP with Evolution Financial. Thanks for coming in today, Sue.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we have lots of questions for you, but I'm curious, when you're meeting people and they find out what you do for your job, what's the first thing that they tend to ask?
Right, it's kind of like going to a party, and if you're a doctor, then somebody's like, oh, there's something
thing.
wrong with this. Can you take a look at this? It totally is that. I go to a party and I say that I'm a financial planner. Oh, what's the best stock pick right now?
That's the first question?
That's the first question, and it's not a question I'm going to answer, because I would be doing somebody a complete disservice if I'm like, you should invest in this, when I need to get to know them a little bit better. They might be somebody who really should be investing in something completely different, and I don't know anything about them, their age, their risk tolerance. So it's not a question I can answer. I simply say, oh, there's a lot out there right now, and just kind of move on.
What do you do?
Right, exactly.
It's very individualized, it sounds like, but it's good that you recognize that.
Yeah, very
So
much.
lately there have been some movies and news about that Ponzi schemes and untrustworthy people in finance. How do you approach that conversation?
I mean, it's basically like politicians and financial people are the people you can't trust, right? There are all these movies out there that you're just looking at going, how can I even find somebody? So you want to find somebody who's a fiduciary, somebody who's going to put your interests ahead of theirs. You also want to look for somebody who's fee only, somebody who's not going to be charging you commissions, and somebody who's not going to be charging you all of these hidden fees. And really, when you meet with somebody and you ask them if they're a fiduciary, ask them to put it in writing. Really make them say, yeah, I'm going to do this for you, and I'm going to put you ahead of me.
That's great advice, because anyone
notes?
can say that.
Absolutely, and I had
Watch it
somebody
back.
in my office a couple weeks ago saying, anybody can say that, how do I know? And somehow it does come into your gut, right? Like you got to know that you can trust this person.
Yeah. Trustworthiness obviously is a big one on the list. Long-term investing, we've talked about before, is definitely a good goal. When you're thinking about trying to choose things that are predictable, I mean, I feel like predictability it's getting tougher and tougher, right? Because something like a news story or a tweet can just throw us off course.
Right.
Advice, suggestions?
Yes.
Help?
2017 was a pretty easy year. I mean, it was one of the lowest volatility years on record. And then we had 2018, and it's this constant up and down, and it's crazy. And really the best advice I can give you is to remember your goals. Remember why you're in this in the first place, because if you remember that, I'm working toward this particular goal, and we talked about how we can get there, it really starts to calm you down, and you really start to not notice as much of the day-to-day market movement. Also, just turn off the news every once in a while, and don't look at the market every once in a while.
Such a good idea.
Yeah,
It'll be there.
that's my favorite piece of advice.
I've been doing that actually lately. I've needed a break from the news, definitely. What about the age-old advice of buy low and sell high?
Right. So that's a great idea. And if you could do it, that's awesome. But it's nearly impossible to predict. And so market timing is not something I would ever recommend for anybody, because you stress yourself out trying to get in at the right time, and inevitably you miss it. And when it comes to market timing, you have to be right twice. You have to get out at the right time, and you have to get back in at the right time. There are people who have missed the last 6, 7, 8, 10 years of growth that we have had in the economy because they were waiting for that time to get their cash back into the market.
Chasing their tail.
Absolutely. So I wouldn't recommend it.
I think we have time for one more question before we go to break, but let's talk a little bit about some of the reasons people should seek help versus trying to navigate this on their own.
Right. It's a good opportunity for you to come in and check with somebody else and really see if your ideas of your money are where you should be. A lot of people have this idea of like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, this is what my friends told me to do. And when you start talking it out with somebody who is an expert in the field, you start realizing that there are other ways to look at it. So it's a really good idea to talk to somebody else about it.
You bet. Completely agree. Well, Sue, as always, it's been a pleasure learning from you.
Well, thank you for having me here.
You bet.
Sue Peck is, again, she's a CFP, the founder and president of Evolution Financial. They're over by the airport. You can check them out there or online. We'll be right back with more Girl Talk on Wisconsin's 57 television.